I had nothing to say. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Oh, it's real late, guys. This is Rob. Welcome to episode 372 of the O The Anthem podcast, coming to you from the #OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening on podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/O The Anthem. And boy, oh boy, is this a return of OTA After Dark.
Yeah, while everyone else is partying it up because, you know, pandemic's over, we're here podcasting. Yay.
We had originally planned to do 2. I don't imagine we're going to be able to get 2 done tonight.
Probably not, no. But what are you going to do? You know.
Yeah. So this episode will be released normally.
Yes.
As you're hearing it. But next week I will be in Maryland, so we will be recording some sort of evergreen content.
Sure. Evergreen is that what we call it?
Yeah. So if you are watching this, listening to it, and find yourself saying like, oh, next week I can't wait for them to tackle the thing where this happened, it's not gonna be this next week because we'll have some evergreen content instead. But it will continue the long run of consecutive weeks of podcasting that we have done here. So
Corey's traveling, so
finally going to go home and see everyone that I haven't seen for a year and a half. So
yes,
yeah, and any of you fine folks who are listening to me who live in Baltimore and know me, want to say hey or whatever. Reach
Do they
out.
have to know you, or are you like welcoming all comers? What's the?
I wouldn't say welcoming all comers because I feel like, if somebody saw me and said like, "Hey, I listen on the podcast," and like we just like happened in a place,
mm-hmm.
I would say like, "Oh my god, thank you so much," and like do that whole thing. But I'm not saying like, "Here's my itinerary. Make sure you show up at the ball game at this day," because I'll be sitting right here and I'm looking for somebody to walk up and just be like, "Hey, I know you."
Is that because of the comments that I make on the podcast? Is that why you're not giving out your itinerary?
It's not that I think that people will associate me with you in that way, but it's the worry. It's the the uneasy feeling deep within.
Yeah, see,
that,
my
that
policy
one day
is,
Rob said this, and I'm like, "Oh God, what am I gonna have to fucking defend?"
My policy is more of the meetup of the Joshes, which isn't on our agenda for this week, but that happened this week. Did you even hear about that? Oh, so a Facebook event was created in 2019 for 2020. That was like, so a guy sent out a message to like 500 people, and it was like, I wonder does anybody who know why I've called you all here? And then that somebody realized that like everyone in it was named Joshua and had the nickname Josh.
Yeah.
And so they were going to have a battle of Joshes.
Okay.
But it got canceled because of COVID. And then so basically they posted on the Facebook event, like 1 year from now, we're going to do it. And there is a field in some western Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh. And they all met. And they had a battle of the Joshes. And some 4-year-old was crowned King Josh.
Yeah.
He's the only one who's allowed to use the nickname Josh from now on.
So now everyone's Joshua again?
Yeah, everyone's Joshua again. I feel like that was probably gained a bit because, like, how did a 4-year-old beat a bunch of grown men? But, you know.
All I'm saying is if I was a Josh and I identified as a Josh
mm-hmm.
and you made me go to Joshua.
Yeah.
I think if I was eliminated from any of these games, I would have like a legendary minor league manager meltdown.
Yeah.
Like in front of everybody. Like I would not be happy about having to go, like feeling like I have to go to by Joshua now, like just because I lost a hacky sack or like a potato sack race to a fucking 4-year-old.
I would offer, if you as a grown man show
if you kill him, is there like an ascension of Josh?
No,
if the 4-year-old dies of mysterious circumstances, does the number 2 Josh now?
I don't think so. I think it goes back to
the official Josh.
It goes back to the battle. Yeah. So
okay, so you have to settle it like Mortal Kombat. Like you have to come for the annual.
If the parents put Josh on the tombstone, maybe it's that forever, right? Like,
he's the last
Josh.
one.
Yeah, Highlander, right? There can only be one. Although Highlander doesn't ever die, it just passes, right? It's a title. But I would say that if you're a grown man
and then you start showing show up to your like little cousin's place and his name is Josh and you're just like, hey Josh, how's it going? I'm Joshua now. I lost the Josh. You're really offending me by bringing this up.
Yes,
if I'm being honest.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder that I'm no longer a Josh. I'd appreciate it if you get out of my house. And then it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, you don't know about the Battle of the Joshes? It's like, clearly not.
If you're a grown man and you showed up to a Facebook event for the Battle of the Joshes, I think you have to go by Joshi from now on. That's it, Joshi.
Joshi?
Joshi, yeah. Yeah, because you've lost any. Joshua sounds too adult for a man who would show up to a Facebook event.
Okay, you know what? Really, first one, all in good fun.
Yeah.
The next couple, probably the same. Next year might be a little bit bigger, so it might be a little bit more fun. And then year 3, it keeps going and going. At some point, it'll hit a critical mass, though. And then it'll be like this has to be sponsored. And then the Josh Rose people will start sponsoring the Battle of the Joshes. And then it'll be on ESPN, the Ocho. And then the contracts will just get outrageous. And
I thought about
you're going to start injecting kids with fucking steroids or painkillers so they can compete in the Battle of the Joshes.
You're thinking like long term, but it's short term in my mind. Because in my mind, I think about like 500 years from now where every town always has to have one person named Josh in it. Yeah. And they send them to this place in Western Pennsylvania where there's a battle to the death and there can only be one Josh. And Josh, 1,000 years from now is just like, Dad, why? Why am I going to battle it out with all these other Joshes? And they're like, son, it was written in the good book 1,000 years ago. That what book? The Book of Face. The Book of Face. That is where it was written, and we have to do
and
this.
And the great book.
So, yeah. Anyway, I would do that. I just expect
people
everybody.
Reading. I'd like to read an excerpt from the Book of Face. Karen 22733. I'm not saying that the neighborhood is full of crime, but certainly something has changed. Can we all agree?
Amen. Yes. By the way, for you Christians at home, that may put you in a different perspective because open up the book of Timothy and take a look. Timothy was a bit of a Karen. Just
filled with relationship statuses, all kinds of drama. How are you in an open relationship with someone you've been in a relationship with for 5 years? This doesn't make any sense.
Oh, you found the love of your life? Did you? Peyton, you found the love of your life? Great. 3rd time this year. Excited to meet him. Great. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Thanks.
Should I commit this name to memory? All I'm saying is I don't know how serious this thing is going to become in the future years.
The Battle of the Joshes, yeah.
I don't know if it'd be an ESPN Ocho event or not. Mm-hmm. But I think I might have to give the first baby a Josh. Boy or girl. Just call him Josh. And then
they go battle it?
Yeah, just like fucking ace bandage a knife to them and send them off to Pennsylvania.
So Cadillac moves to the second child.
Josh maybe it's a middle name, Joshua.
Cadillac Joshua.
Josh Cadillac Baker.
I see your dad rolling his eyes right now. There's nothing good about that name. Joshua? No, terrible. Cadillac's fine. I can live with it.
It's a middle name, right?
Don't you dare name him Josh.
Don't you dare sully the good Baker name. Fucking Josh.
I was going to say, let's see, what else? What do we have on the actual agenda for this week? Speaking of calling people names, I guess, I got a few names I'd like to call Marjorie Taylor Greene. Number 1 on the list is...
Large Marge?
No. Number 1 on the list was like, call me. Like, girl, if you think acting out and being crazy and calling people Nazis is going to somehow get me off your radar, you don't know me very well. Let's say, first of all, Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you guys don't remember.
One of my favorite parts about Rob is like, I'll have a conversation with him where he's just like, if I was to ever date anyone again, I'm cutting out brunettes. They're just done. That's just never going to happen again.
Yep.
And I'd be like, that's a fucking ridiculous statement. And you'd be like, nope, it's how I feel in my heart. I can't do it again. And then there will be one girl so crazy that the brunette doesn't matter. And it's just like, I will do anything to be near this crazy woman. And then you will, much like Marjorie Taylor Greene, there is like the like I don't care how right wing and fundamentally different you are from me in every single way.
I want you.
I will bet you. I want you
to ruin my life. That's yeah. By the way, for those of you who've been playing along with us for several years, we had yet another incident of a friend of the show, former / current, I guess. I'm choosing women over the producer. I don't know how that works, but producer Roberto sent me a picture that had several women in it that he was familiar with. He was at home in Mexico, and just sent me a picture. And I said, "Oh, that one second from the left, she's hot." And he was like, "That is the craziest girl I have ever met in my life." And I said, I am undefeated in the ability to look at any room full of women and pick out the craziest girl and be like, that's the one. That's the one I'm going to go for. So, if you happen to listen to this and you are what you might consider an ex of mine, take that into consideration. Just, yeah, undefeated. But Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's why Rob walks up to girls at parties and he's just like, so how do you feel about like healing crystals and stuff like that? Oh my God, I love it. Do you want to talk about it? It's like,
oh God.
Sure, let's just go. Let's just go back to my place and we'll discuss it a little bit more. Yeah.
Corey. She wants to go back and show me her healing crystals and introduce me to her cat. I've got to go.
Aren't you deathly allergic to cat?
It's all right. It's fine. The healing crystals are there too.
It's fine. It's gonna be okay. She's got a yellow one that's really gonna change my vibe.
She's changed herself to my radiator.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is literally like the embodiment of all of my issues brought to life.
Yeah.
Just short and blonde and crazy, batshit crazy. And of course, conservative, because if she was liberal, there'd be a redeeming quality. So now it's like, oh, you're all of the things that are ruinous about my life.
Right.
She's nothing but
you need
red
to have
flag.
like a James Carville thing going on in your.
She's nothing but red flags. But baby, I'm a bull, so I just go charging right in there. On top of all of that, and I think I told you when we were talking earlier, like we could have taken a bet. We could have taken a bet on like how long is it going to take this crazy broad to compare Nancy Pelosi to Hitler?
Yeah,
I would have lost that bet because I would have said like 60 days. Turns out it was May, which is like 5 months into being.
Yeah, we're
in
like
the house.
we're like 150 days or so in probably at this point.
But.
No, I mean, like Congress started before Biden did.
They started on the 3rd, so an extra 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If you had said 200 days, you'd be like right on the cusp. Like,
yeah.
Fell short. Okay. But so she went on a podcast because that's what people do now.
Yeah. It's the medium of conversation.
They probably had to explain to her what a podcast was before she went on it. She was like, so I just go in my closet and I'm talking to my phone? And they're like, yeah, that's what it is.
You don't need to explain to me. I've been on Alex Jones before.
And this was a conservative podcast called like Around the Water Cooler or something unoriginal and conservative, which is what you would expect.
It sounds like such a...
It's a political podcast.
Welcome to Around the Cooler, where we talk about water coolers and things related to water coolers. It's been a big week.
There's two guys just like us. They were standing around their water cooler at work and like, you know what? I bet people would really like to listen to this. And they're like, what are we going to call it? Well,
the water cooler.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
And then for the first 100 or so episodes, it was just like talking about nonsense and like things that are happening in their life. And now they're interviewing Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's just like,
to be fair though, I mean, like,
podcast is taking a right turn somewhere along the.
Somewhere last year, one of the guys said something crazy. Now, I say crazy shit on the left. The guy on the right was like, hey, maybe this drinking chlorine thing is really going to work. And now he's got Marjorie Taylor Greene. And all I'm saying is, AOC, the fuck do I have to say? I think you should have come on the show. Like, you're the crazy broad on the left. They got the crazy broad on the right. I mean, come on. Anyway.
See... I think there's a...
Oh, did she not respond when I say things like broad? Is that going to be a problem?
I think there... Possibly.
Flash is going to send me a message about that. My ironic but unironic seemingly use of the word broad to describe AOC on top of it all. You
know what, though? I kind of like it because I've noticed that Biden just uses the term folks. I mean, like, this is a known thing about him. It's like part of the impression of Biden. But I was like, it's kind of brilliant because it checks all boxes. It's like, it's not like all men are created equal and there's like a man-woman thing going on there. It's just sort of like, anyone is a folk.
Yep.
If they're in a group.
I mean, Jen
if it's
could go
more
out
than
there
one.
Jen could go out there and sell it and be like, listen, the last 10 years, you guys didn't know this. He switched the KS to an X. He's been saying folks this entire time. He's been ahead of the curve when it comes to leading the LGBTQ community. Yeah. Who knew? Thanks. Anyway, let's not talk about the children in cages at the border. Go ahead. Yeah. Because there's still kids in cages at the border. Like 40,000 of them. It's pretty terrible.
Hopefully getting better, but at some point, but we'll see.
Speaking of children in cages, though, Marjorie Taylor Greene described. Her name just jumped out of my head. Pelosi. I almost said Psaki, which is not Jen's last name, but I keep saying it's Psaki.
Yeah, it's Saki.
Saki, yes.
Like
all run together.
Like getting sake at the Japanese place.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of extra letters in it that shouldn't be.
Right. The P is silent.
Yes. And there's like an A and a C and a K and an E and an I, but it's Saki.
No E.
Okay.
Psaki, I think.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Guest Spell Their Name podcast. Yeah. Anyway, so Pelosi, she said that...
to be fair, I made fun of the water cooler podcast and then immediately was just like, no, I'll tell you how to spell Jensaki's last name. This will be entertaining content for everyone listening.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene went on a podcast and she said that forcing the Republican members of Congress to either prove that they were vaccinated or continue to wear their masks was much like a group being forced to wear yellow stars or be put on trains and then put into death camps, which, fun historical note, people were forced to wear stars and then put on trains to death camps. Not one or the other. In fact, I think that, Holocaust would have been a lot less Holocausty if they were just like, you keep wearing those stars we're putting you on the trains. The people would have been like, oh, all right, well, star it is then, cool. No problems here. But also, it's a fucking mask. And you can get around it by showing you're vaccinated. And also, members of Congress had access to vaccinations far before the general public.
Yeah, and a bunch of them, like Marco Rubio, got them, way early.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Marco Rubio, who, to remind you, talked shit about vaccines and then lined up the fucking first to get one. So, good job, Marco Rubio. But he's a hypocrite and a Republican. I'm sorry. He's a Republican. I didn't mean to double speak there unnecessarily. But so she's in hot water again. And I mean, it just basically comes down to, is anybody surprised by this still? Like, you just elected Karen to Congress, and Karen's going to do what Karen's going to do. She got chastised already by the body. She is basically on the outs. She votes, and that's basically it. She got all her committee assignments taken away, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And she's going to say crazy shit. That's what happens. So
here, why don't you flip the camera over this way, and I'll talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene for a while people try and sneak into the apartment.
Wait. Is that producer Roberto coming back? Come on in, producer Roberto. Say hi to all the folks. I think I pretend it's not them. I think I pretend we didn't hear the lock. They're coming home from their date, and they're just going to pretend that nothing's happening. I mean, do you have some young up-and-coming starlet who would like to say hi to all of our friends with you? Oh, it's going to be super embarrassing if his girlfriend's not the one with him. Do you remember when that happened and we had to edit out the episode so it didn't ruin his life? Yeah. None of this is getting him to actually walk in.
All right, fine.
I just really want him to walk in. I feel like, should I just go whip the door open?
At this point, why not?
I feel like it's very entertaining content for the folks.
I think people are
maybe not the audio format, but if you're not watching on video, it's youtube.com/O The Anthem.
Come on through. We're just
Here's
live.
Producer Roberto. I asked, do you have some young starlet with you that you'd like to introduce to the internet?
Yes.
Hey.
O The Anthem model.
Yes, you can see her on the website wearing one of the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there
or
you
on
go.
Guadalupe Radio, bro.
And on Guadalupe Radio. Put the links down in the show notes below.
It's funny, we drove by a Guadalupe wedding store or something like that earlier today, and I was just like, is that the same company that owns the radio station that Katia works for?
Tell me you're a racist without telling me you're a racist. That's totally fine.
It was
That's
a
totally
joke.
fine.
It was clearly a joke.
Totally okay. Yeah. That's fine. Guadalupe, is the patron saint of Mexico. Or, right? Patron saint? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because she's a woman.
Patron.
But again, I just want to point out, imagine walking around with all of that in your head at all times.
Right.
Imagine being me for just a moment.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes. The patron saint of crazy ass fucking Georgian women.
Yeah.
Patron saint of Karens, if you will. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes.
I'm going to say this because I know what we're doing here. We're talking about her in the hopes that somebody who has an opinion about Marjorie Taylor Greene reacts upon that opinion.
I think producer Brooks wants to come out and say hi too.
He's like, I'd like to go see producer event.
I'm gonna go welcome everybody in. Rules just don't apply.
He's like, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Sitting patiently. Yes. Go ahead. We're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene
because that's what she wants us to do. That her only basis of being a talking point of the Republican Party is she's saying so many crazy things that it has become she gets talked about because she's the one saying all the crazy things. So it's almost like you have to like step it up at a certain point too. Like if you're what's the comedian who says all the insensitive things?
Louis C.K.?
No, Louis wasn't quite like that. Oh, God.
That's the beating off in front of the women.
I can't. I mean, like he did his inappropriate things behind closed doors, not as part of his comedy.
Dane Cook?
Whatever. A comedian who
Daniel Tosh.
Sure, whatever. Any of them will work, really. But
all those guys are white guys. You think that's a commonality? Is there something there that we should?
I think there's a lot of white guys in comedy, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
It's gotten a little bit better, but I mean, like that's basically what we're saying about everything at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's APL
History Month.
Yeah. And I keep hearing about Hollywood studios and like how much better they're doing with casting Asian actors and stuff like that. And then you look at it and you're just like, no, not. I mean, like, sure, a little bit, but not particularly. And then
I just love my playlist of APL stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like you click and you think if they had a White History Month, this would just go on for fucking ever. But I click right like 4 times and I hit the end of the list. And the ones at the end are like, oh, you mean like the supporting actor? Like 4 lines is that,
right.
This is okay, sure, I guess.
What's Mickey Rooney doing on this list?
Yeah. Fast and the Furious 9 or whatever's on this list because The Rock is in it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so yeah, he's Samoan. I guess that's kind of sure.
Yeah.
Producer Brooks is being very demanding.
Let me in.
They're naked. Now he's sniffing under the door.
Oh, man.
Oh, things are awkward.
This is a classic OTA after dark.
Yeah.
This is exactly, literally anytime we record late at night, this is what happens. It just it just gets way off the rails. So.
I just think about how quiet and serene my house is at all times because I don't have other people in it.
Can I
people I'm dating or dogs or anything.
Speaking of the right wing.
Yes.
Can I ask you to put your lawyer hat on for a second?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's say you have been hired to represent the Q shaman.
Okay.
The guy with the horns.
Yes.
And have you heard about what his attorney said?
Is it that he watched so much Fox News that he became insane? Like there's a level of insanity portion to it?
A little. Is that where you would go if you were if you're on the courthouse steps and the media comes up to you and they put a microphone in your face and they ask you to say something about it? I mean, like, first of all, there's not really arguing whether or not he was there because he was.
Yeah.
Like, you're really just trying to get as little of a sentence as humanly possible, right? I mean,
and you don't go to the media because, like, obviously, like, everything you're saying to the media, you're helping the other side prep for. Like,
right.
But if I was in court, I would.
Well, that's why a lot of good lawyers, when they go out on the steps, say, like, just broadly, like, my client is innocent. The trial will prove this. You know, now let us get back to working on his defense and I'll see you later.
Just wait till it's our turn. We have evidence that will.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's going to be things coming. And then sometimes you just don't have anything.
Right.
Like, sorry. What I would do in closing arguments, let's say, is blow up.
Well, I'm just for a second because I want to read.
Yeah.
I'm going to read his statement. I just want you to say, like, they're coming at you.
If his statement is anything other than blowing up a huge picture of a dude dressed like a shaman that has like ridiculous tattoos all over him and he's wearing like a QAnon thing, I'd be like, temporary insanity should be defined in the dictionary with this picture next to it. And then this young man looking very sharp in his suit with his haircut and everything, sitting at the table like, do these two people look like they're the same? Of course not. Temporary insanity. Thank you.
Okay. So you're not that far off.
Okay.
But he did it with a little bit more, shall we say, flourish.
Okay.
So I'm going to read this statement to you. I want you to react to it. Go ahead. All right?
Yeah.
He said that his client had Asperger's syndrome and indicated that his mental state and the impact of Trump's propaganda efforts would play a role in the case. Quote, a lot of these defendants, and I'm going to use this colloquial term perhaps disrespectfully, but they're all fucking short bus people, Watkins told TPM. These are people with brain damage. They're fucking retarded. They're on the goddamn spectrum. But they're our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our coworkers. They're part of our country. These aren't bad people. They don't have a prior criminal history. Fuck, they were subjected to 4 years plus of goddamn propaganda, the likes of which the world has not seen since fucking Hitler. So that was the statement on the courthouse steps, apparently. Thoughts?
Well, he'll be lucky if he doesn't get disbarred.
I mean, it's probably not the bar will certainly have a few questions for him, I imagine.
I imagine so.
The very least.
It's this kind of we go through these trends in history where some variety of syndrome or mental illness becomes an excuse for people doing the things that they do.
Yeah.
And we have such a better ability to identify Asperger's syndrome and the spectrum that it's on now that we know that there's a spectrum because I think we all had kids in our class growing up that we'd have been like, oh, now we're like, oh, that kid was definitely on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like just everything about him.
When I was a child, something was different, but I didn't know what.
Well, and
like you couldn't put your finger on it kind of thing?
Yeah, kids now wouldn't know, but we have a word for it now.
Yeah.
They were just a weird kid. When you and I were kids, they were just a weird kid.
Right.
Now it's like, Johnny, like you got to be nice to him. He's on the spectrum. It's a thing. He's dealing with it. They're doing therapy and stuff, and it's fine. But now we have a whole like generation of kids our age who weren't put on the spectrum when they were kids, who now you can use it almost as a get out of jail free card, which is what he's trying to do. He's just like, hey, this guy's on the spectrum. Look at him. I mean, he's wearing a shaman outfit, and he's susceptible to suggestion. I mean, it's the same as.
I feel like if he would have just said, "Look at him. Clearly, he's not well." That would have done basically the same thing.
And you don't have to do this like ableist bullshit of like let's pretend that he has. And I shouldn't say pretend because perhaps he is on the spectrum.
Yeah,
that is not an excuse for him doing the things that he was doing. And
if you are, if for whatever reason a condition of yours has caused you to not be able to understand right and wrong. To this degree, then you will certainly have some sort of psych exam that will prove whether or not you were capable of understanding
and that
the difference between right and wrong.
The other issue is,
and I mean that's what's so gravy about the temporary insanity, because if you can show a generalized likelihood of doing something a little bit erratic,
and then a push
teamed
point
with like. A lot of shit was happening all at the same time that made him feel like he had to be at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Like, you can probably get a little something out of that. Maybe you get yourself some time in a prison hospital instead of a prison. But
well, I think the risk is that you're
a sanitarium, I guess, for lack of a better.
You're pushing people towards this feeling that like all people on the spectrum don't know right from wrong, and that's not the case. They do.
No, I'm not. I wasn't saying that they don't. I'm just saying that like
the public at large though might think like, oh well, this kid's dangerous. Yeah, that guy got off because he has Asperger's, and clearly he was open to suggestion. So we need to lock these kids up before they become dangerous.
Right, but I'm saying like everyone knows somebody in their life who was not as aware of their actions as other people.
Yes.
And
I was that kid.
You could tell that there was going to be at some point some sort of incident that would have to be explained with, I'm sorry he doesn't know better. Or
yeah, I was that kid. Yes, absolutely.
So like the idea that that will be decided by an actual psychologist or psychiatrist at some sort of point as to whether or not how deep this really goes. I imagine the shaman outfit is a good enough place to start the insanity plea.
But the difficulty he's going to have is that he wore that many places for many years. And
explained it to people, like why he was doing it.
Yes. So it doesn't seem like it was a psychotic break. It seems like you were indoctrinated into a cult. And a lot of cults use that argument, right? Like
define temporary. I mean, like, it's 4 years of temporary insanity.
It was exactly 4 years. It was from November of 2016.
Well, there was the time of the running and the...
right. So 5
it's not
years.
like he just became president and this guy's like, you know what? I think this guy's got it all going on all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's...
I thought he was disgusting before, but now that he's president, I just can't help myself.
Not to be a Marjorie.
I feel like I need horns.
Not to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene on this podcast, but we were just following orders.
Oh God.
I mean, like at some point, all of these arguments, all of the things I've heard in defense of the Capitol rioters boil down to, well, he's the president, and he told us to do it.
Yeah.
So we did it. And if you think for a second that your neighbor, who seems so sweet but has that Trump sign in the yard, wouldn't have come into your house, beat you, and dragged you out to a waiting convoy to put you on a train and ship you out west, you are incorrect.
Yeah.
Because the first thing we are seeing from them is, hey, listen, my beliefs are I am a forward-thinking, I am a rational person, but the president said to do it. So I did it. Of course. The president said that, these particular people who are my neighbors aren't really human. They're a subhuman variety of human, and they don't deserve the same protection. So when he said, beat them, I beat them. And when he said, we're going to ship them all out of here so you don't have to look at them anymore, I was happy about it. And yes, there were camps. There was a funny, sweet smell that came from the camps. We just didn't ask too many questions. That's the smell of a human body.
I know.
Is very sweet. Sickly
I get where you're coming from.
So I mean, you can use.
I was just shaking at the general disgust of the situation.
Burning bodies.
No, just the ideal of burning bodies.
Oh yeah.
In the abstract is enough to make me.
See, listen. I will say I have said horrible things before, but when I talk about building camps out west in West Texas and shipping people off there, it has nothing to do with their race, their creed, their ethnicity, their religion. The camp on the left side of the tracks, Camp Asshat. Camp on the right, Stupid. We have Camp Asshat and Camp Stupid. So there will be people of all races and all ethnicities and all varieties of religion and sexual orientation. But if you are a fucking asshat, you go to Camp Asshat. If you're stupid, you go to Camp Stupid. And that way we concentrate them away from the rest of the public.
Yeah, but then they're just going to start breeding inside those camps, so.
Yes, well, that's,
something that will happen.
Not the place to make a final solution joke, and I'm probably too tired.
Probably never what we should. Probably never a good time for that, but.
Well, wait, 1984. I'm writing a story right now that is like a.
The Republicans had a solution for their problem, and it was getting rid of Liz Cheney.
Do you remember the time machine, H.G. Wells? He travels into the future. There are two types of humans. There's like the big burly humans who run all the machines, and there's the enlightened humans who, like, I'm writing a story that's not 10,000 years in the future. It's like 4,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
And that is after, we start shipping them off to those camps. All of the low people, the ones who run the machines, are scared of like light. They're the ones from the camps that they just bred and interbred. And, whenever a plane flies over, they instinctively form a queue on the ground. There's nothing to guide them. They just know, like, queue as the plane flies over. So, because they're looking for signals. Everybody else, will be enlightened and wear our masks. So if you don't wear your mask, guess which place you're going to be. Just what I'm saying. Anyway. So yes, the Liz Cheney fallout continues. Speaking of splitting into camps. The Republicans are splitting themselves into camps, and it's basically Camp Asshat and Camp Stupid.
More or less.
I don't know which one is the Trump supporters. Is that Camp Asshat or Camp Stupid?
That would be Camp Stupid.
Yeah, and the Asshat is everybody else.
For no other reason than if I were to separate the two of them. It's like if I still wore Jinko jeans.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, you don't get it. They're coming back. Like, maybe at some point they will come back.
They're definitely coming back.
No, I'm saying like, maybe at some point they'll come back.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be popular again. Won't be forever. It'll be a passing thing. Maybe, perchance, Trump runs for president again.
Yeah.
Perhaps he will do okay in the Republican primary. Assuming that he's legally allowed to run at this point.
Yeah. Not a felon?
That's a prerequisite.
Can you run from president from prison? Because I think that might be a difficult.
He'll try.
Yeah.
Writing on his fucking blog, his fucking creed thoughts of Trump.
I'm just fast forwarding to like 8 years from now when somebody's standing in court like, he was the president and he said, break me out of jail. So, of course,
I tried to
break him out of jail. I don't know why is this so hard for people?
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so I think they're stupid if they think that like Trump is really going to like come back and win the presidency again. I'm not saying that he couldn't.
Sure.
But I mean, like, if you want me to vote for Joe Biden again, the easiest way to get me to do that is have Trump run against him again. I mean, like,
when I think the Dems
it's a kind of binary choice for me at that point.
The Dems are smart enough that he's not actually going to run it. I mean, hopefully they're smart enough not to run Kamala Harris. But in the end, he was meant to be a transition. It's like, hey, we need somebody who is white toast.
Yeah.
Palatable to everybody. We'll get him in there. He's not going to do anything crazy. Yeah, Joe, trains. Let's talk about your trains for a while, and then we'll put somebody else in who's a little further left, maybe.
I mean, I think I think Biden's been doing a fine job.
Sure.
I don't think it's particularly groundbreaking or anything like that. At least not yet.
First head of state at a Medal of Honor recipient ceremony, which was great. 94-year-old guy got the Medal of Honor from his service in Korea. Korean president was there, got up to speak. He doesn't speak English. He only speaks Korean. I was terrified that the 94-year-old Korean war vet, he had this look on his face like he might jump out of that chair and strangle him. And I was flashing to like Cotton from
King of the Hill.
Just waiting for like a Cotton moment.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. So that was good. It was good. But yeah. So he's doing a lot, and the most diverse cabinet in history.
I mean, I think my thing, there was so just to encapsulate it real quick, Biden visited a Ford plant.
Yes. And
drove the new electric F-150.
Right. Wait, don't talk too loudly. Producer Roberto might have an orgasm prematurely.
He drove it, and then he drove past reporters, and they started shouting questions at him, like, how do you like the truck? He's just like, oh, this sucker's quick and stuff like that. And then somebody said, like, can I ask you a question about Israel? And he's like, no. And he drove away.
By the way,
and then,
something you couldn't do in a non-electric Ford F-150 because that thing's so loud.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Mr. President's electric. You can hear us fine.
My favorite part, though, is the 2 days later after the fact where they're just like, Joe Biden wasn't really driving that car. It was the Secret Service driving that car. And Joe Biden was just sitting in the driver's seat, but they had a Secret Service guy like underneath, like handling the pedals and the...
Because, presidents are not legally allowed to drive in the United States. Current or former presidents, not allowed to drive.
Yeah. I mean, it was a test track, so I think maybe there's a exemption made for letting him...
Can you name a time when you've seen a president, current or former, driving a vehicle?
No. But...
Joe Biden driving an all-electric...
But also, I imagine every single one of them at this point... number one, it's just something I don't see. I don't see people pull up to things in their cars.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen Brad Pitt get out of his car before, but I'm sure he has one. Like,
I'm sure he gets driven around too.
I mean, I've sure seen him drive in cars in movies.
He's not actually driving.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, sitting there behind the
on the back of a
trailer.
truck. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, like, in so much as I can picture it being, like, it was It's
if
possible.
you're going to break the policy of no president can drive a car, I'm not sure picking the 78-year-old guy who seems slightly senile is the one I would do.
Again, I'm saying, open test track. I think it's okay. I think we're...
Do you think that he was just like, can I ask you a question about Israel? He's like, no. No! Step on it, Joe.
But the thing that I just can't even believe that, like, we're arguing as to whether or not he was driving. Like, what does it fucking matter? Like, really, at the end of the day, like...
Well, the most important thing is the all-new Ford F-150 2022, all-electric. You think that the future is gas? You are wrong. It's the all-electric 2022 Ford F-150. It comes in all packages, Raptor and otherwise. I don't know what other packages are.
I think you're just talking out of your ass now.
This podcast is brought to you by Ford.
Legally not, but...
All the things I've said prior to this, not brought to you by Ford.
This small section brought to you by Ford.
By the way, I like how GM is like, we're going to have 50% of our cars be electric by 2025 or whatever.
Yeah.
And Ford's like, we got a truck. And Joe's like, that's the voters. That's the voters I need. Yeah. Let's go ride the truck. Yeah. And again,
because the Chevy Cruze doesn't really do it for the voters.
How many pictures, how many posts has producer Roberto shared to the group chat of the all-electric Ford F-150?
I mean, it's hard to tell based off of all the pictures of cars and trucks that have been shared.
Let's address this since it's an After Dark episode. What is your obsession, yours meaning both yours and producer Roberto's, with things that you will never purchase and never be able to afford? What is the obsession?
Well, number one, I don't think that things are like, I'm never going to afford them. I mean, if I shared like super high-end sports cars, like Maseratis and stuff, I guess you can make the argument that, I would have to ascend to a certain strata to be able to afford those things, or like Inez houses or something like that.
We can agree that a Ford F-150 is not an LA car. That's not what you buy.
The electric one, though.
When you're in LA...
Well, no.
Does that help you park somewhere?
No.
On the freeway?
It's very inconvenient, but I'm saying, like, if you needed a pickup truck in LA, then the electric one would put you in.
And clearly both of you
but I'm saying,
are
like,
needing of a truck.
No, but I mean, like, the Ford F-150 electric could start at $50,000. That's a reasonable car purchase. That's not like...
You're not going to buy it, though. You're not going to buy it.
Well, I'm not going to buy it, but...
Neither is he.
Well, he's bite. You don't know.
He's not.
He says he wants a pickup truck, so.
Yeah, right. I'll tell you what he needs. What he needs?
Yeah.
A yob. Or it might be a soft J, a hard J. I'm not sure. Anyway.
If he wants to run against Liz Cheney.
That spot's going to be open very soon.
I think the guy who's planning on primarying her is going to have to stop his campaign.
That guy.
Yeah.
Wears boots.
Mm-hmm.
Carries a knife.
Okay.
All the time. Right there. We're in... Producer Roberto could essentially be exchanged for him.
Well, I mean, most of the people in Wyoming, it's like...
Oh, you're very... Actually, yeah. Producer Roberto is basically a guy from Wyoming.
A guy from Wyoming.
However, I don't know if he meets the last qualification.
I have boots. I got a knife. I don't pay state income tax. That was a joke.
Producer Roberto. He doesn't live in Wyoming. There is one qualification to be the person running against Liz Cheney that producer Roberto does not have, though.
Thank God.
Yeah. He did not knock up a 14-year-old when he was 18 and then brag about it on the floor of the State House.
In Wyoming, yeah.
In Wyoming, yes. Seems ill-advised. I don't think he had an attorney advising him before he made that announcement.
I have... Throughout my entire life, just by happenstance, I have always dated women who happen to be younger than me, but never like this, and always during my adult life too, I should mention. And legal women.
So as a teenager, you didn't date anybody younger than you?
I mean, like when I was 16. I might have dated somebody who was currently 15 or something like that.
Oh, well, there we go. That's almost as bad as this guy.
No, this guy was
a legal adult, 18 years old, yes.
Dating a child, 14-year-old.
Yes.
Which is not like, I always like, my parents are like 5 years apart.
Yeah.
So like I always like, when I was young, I always thought of things in terms of like how like school grades. So it was just like, so my mom was a 8th grader when my dad was a senior. And
I don't like to play this game.
No, but like in my mind, I was always like, that's weird though, right? Like,
my parents
I would say to myself, like, that's weird, right? Like,
my parents are 22 years apart, so
yeah, a bit different.
it's a little different game to play. But yeah, no, I feel like that guy has always told the story about how he once, impregnated a woman who was 4 years younger than him. And then he always told his friends that story and nobody overreacted to it. And then he told the story and he told the story.
Included ages?
The wrong way, where it's like when I was 18 and all of his friends who'd heard that story before were like, wait, is that the one he's always talking about? Oh, we should not have been cool with that when he told us that story before. You got to ask details. We need details on that kind of question.
I can't imagine, like, he went up there to deliver that speech and it's about like tax planning.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It's got to be something unrelated.
Like,
now,
he's going to have a press conference. He's just like, listen, I understand you're having your laughs about my comments about dating a 14-year-old, raping a girl. But can we really focus on the estate planning that I was talking about in the speech? Because nobody seems to be talking about that.
I don't think you can. Because to be fair,
when I was a child, I murdered a man.
When
did I say that out loud?
When we were living in Baltimore,
yeah,
I was dating.
Don't finish that thought.
I was dating a girl, right?
Yeah.
And when I met that girl, I was a senior in high school, which made me 18, and she was 14.
Yeah,
because she was a freshman in high school.
Right.
And I said to myself, absolutely nothing, because she was fucking 14 years old, and I was like, I'm getting ready to go to fucking college. What the fuck do I want with this child who was very annoying to me when she was 14? Now, a decade later, she was fucking hot as shit. And we were both very much adults, and I was looking for someone to ruin my life. And I said, why not you?
You'll do until Marjorie Taylor Greene exists in my consciousness.
So I mean, it's like, it's hard for me to put myself... Reddit is a terrible place. It's not as bad as 4chan, but it's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And I've seen the people conversing about it. Like, well, when you were a senior in high school, there was like girls who you found attractive. I'm like, yeah. No. When I was 18 and a senior, I was thinking about the college girls who I was going to go meet.
Yeah.
Not the literal children. By the way, did you see that thing I posted about the video of the class of 2002?
No.
So
about the kids like looking into camera and like waving.
Yeah,
and
they
so
look like they're
to
fucking adults playing kids. And then I realized, thinking back, I'm like, so we felt like kids then. But if you look at seniors now, they look like children.
Yeah.
And I remember being a senior and looking at that girl and being like, these tiny little people who are coming into high school, like I have no interest in them physically or to date. She grew up. But I think they all look that way now. Yeah. And maybe it's because I'm in my 30s, approaching 40, but fuck, I didn't even think about that.
Well, I mean, like, I do think, by the way, just have you heard the term geriatric millennial?
Yeah, that's what we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I feel like it's supposed to be a dig, but I don't really care.
I embrace it.
It's kind of funny. Right. Like, so it works. But
wait. So you're telling me, is there a place I can go live and have all my things taken care of, and they just bring me meals 3 times a day?
Dude, if I could fucking get a senior living facility apartment right now, they're like, okay, so people who don't live in LA will find this amusing or weird, but there is this incredible property right in the middle of downtown, right next to Angel's Flight, across the street from Grand Central. It's got these balconies that look over the city. They're on the hill, on Bunker Hill.
Yep.
Probably very dated on the inside, but they're places where you live. Like, they're essentially condos. You live there, and they're all 55 plus. And I'm like, granted, I don't want the elderly to live in boxes and
no.
in
They're
Fontana
not enjoying
or
that
nothing.
view and the access to the amenities.
I'm
though.
just saying, like, we can't find him a place in Silver Lake that just like it's like a little bit off the beaten path or something like that. Like,
Gotta give them the prime real estate, right? Downtown?
It just seems weird to me, is all I'm saying. Like, taxpayers could have that money, or could have that property. That's all I'm. It'd be high value, is all I'm saying.
People who aren't in LA also, those apartments are like $1,500 a month. And I know you're thinking to yourself, like, oh, that's not so bad.
Oh, normal rent price.
Yeah. For your average two bedroom, 2 bath in Baltimore, actually probably 3 bedroom, 2 bath.
I mean, you might be able to.
Baltimore.
Yeah, you might be able to pull a 3 there. But
Yeah.
Probably do.
Which is what I pay for my 600 square feet in Hollywood. Jesus Christ. My 600 square foot studio in Hollywood, $1,400 a month. Yeah, yeah. I fucking hate this city. This is the worst. Anyway,
I think we've had enough of that
where
guy.
do we how do we get off on that? I don't even remember. But
Just talking about Liz Cheney's.
the pedophile. Yes,
Yeah.
the pedophile who's going to replace her. By the way,
But by the way, did you hear about how Matt Gaetz had originally gone out there to stump for him prior to his whole pedophile problems?
I feel like
It's just like what I don't get is like the Republican Party and the people who make it so have for so long here been on this hill about like there's a secret network of pedophiles out there who are controlling the strings on everything in our lives.
Turns out they're Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, like, shouldn't you be really fucking upset about this? And much the same, like, there was a lot of people talking about there was a vote in the House this week about an investigation into the January 6th riots and stuff like that. And there's questions as to whether or not it's going to get through the Senate because Republicans don't want to investigate.
Yes, they're going to vote against it.
And I'm just like, well, y'all were saying it was Antifa and Black Lives Matter, so why aren't we investigating?
It's a good way to figure it out, right?
Yeah, like it'd be like if you said, we're gonna have an investigation as to whether or not the Orioles won the World Series last year. I'd be like, yeah, fucking go ahead. Like, it sounds pretty great to me. Like,
Only turns out positive. I don't know.
the worst that happens is they keep telling us that they didn't, which I already knew. Like, it seems like there's a chance we might win the World Series out of this thing. Like,
to the Matt Gaetz thing, I feel like he went out there because he was like, there's something about this guy, I don't know, but I like him. And then later on stories come out and they're like, well, yeah, I get it. Okay, so nobody knew, but there was like a simpatico feeling between the two of you. I'm not even going to make a joke about that. Just I feel like that is going to continue to like both of them like saw Roy Moore and they were just like, that guy looks like a real leader, like somebody I would follow. I don't know why. Just that guy's got everything figured out. Yeah. By the way, Roy Moore, if you don't remember, was the senator the senatorial candidate who almost won.
it was very close.
Very close to winning.
Doug Jones won.
Yes.
But there was a lot of things about how he admitted that he went to malls to like spy on the young girls, and it
As
started
an adult working lawyer.
Yeah, it started as like an innocent statement where it was just like, I think his original thing was like, I used to like to go to the mall and just sort of walk around and see all the young girls having fun, all the pretty girls shopping and stuff like that. And it's like the type of thing that like if you don't think twice about it, you're just like, oh, okay, he's just a guy who enjoys watching people live life. Like, what's wrong?
And then people did the math, and then, they were like, oh, wait, so
well,
you
then
were
there was
an
a lot
adult.
of people who were just like, yeah, this guy came by the mall all the time. He was creepy as fuck with the young girls. The young girls was an important part of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Like,
he would bring young girls back to his office, and weird things happened there as well. And he's like, yeah, as long as the parents said yes, it didn't really matter. It's not a crime. It's up to the parents. If they say it's okay,
be
it's
like
okay.
if I murdered some guy and I just like give a stump speech where I'm just like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Lincoln Park, but don't go. There's nothing to see there, I swear.
Well, speaking of murder, I listened to a podcast this week because that's all.
Wait
I
a
do
minute,
in
wait
my
a minute,
life
hold
while
on,
I'm
hold
working.
on, hold on. There's a podcast about a murder?
Yes.
Now I've seen it all.
This one's specifically about just weird, not weird murder, true crime, but like weird true crime stories.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you remember the story from a few years ago? The voluntary cannibal victim. There's a guy in Germany who like put out a Lonely Hearts ad because he wanted to eat a guy, and another guy answered the ad, and then he ate him.
No.
Oh, yeah. So it's like 2007. Anyway, that guy is not in jail anymore, which is what the podcast was about. He's like got out of jail, but because the jury did not convict him of murder, because there was a video of the guy getting eaten alive in between sessions where they were cutting off body parts. And he was just like, this makes me so happy. I'm going to be with you forever. I'm going to be a part of you forever. And like, he wanted to be murdered. Like, how is this murder? He sacrificed himself voluntarily. And
I mean, wouldn't it just be manslaughter at that point?
That's an involuntary taking of a life.
Yeah.
In
true.
Germany, they got him for improper
disposal of a body.
Yep.
Of course they did.
And improper storage of body parts as well.
Just so you know, even if you think you've committed the perfect crime,
they're gonna get you.
They're gonna get you. There's something in the book. It's always there.
Yeah. So, and he wasn't even trying to get away with it necessarily, because as soon as he ate that guy, he put out another ad for another thing about wanting to eat somebody. So, yeah.
It's like the law of unintended consequences, though. Like, by the way, I found out the story of why California doesn't have red light cameras anymore. Do you want to take a guess?
No, I don't even want to guess.
Okay, so a lawyer was driving around Beverly Hills with a young woman that wasn't his wife, and he ran a red light because apparently he did this with quite frequency because he chose not to wait for red lights.
They sent the picture to his house.
His wife opened it up, said, "Who the fuck is this girl?" And then he went to the California Supreme Court fighting it, saying this was an unwillful violation of my privacy because you took a picture of the inside of my car as I was driving.
Yeah.
And
sent it to my
home. And I'm getting a divorce from my wife, which has costed me a fucking fortune because you did this. And that's why we don't have red light or speed cameras anymore. So it's like a great thing happened, but at the same time, like
this society. Literally everything.
It's like somebody could have fought it on the terms of like it's unconstitutional because there was an actual law enforcement officer observing it happening at the moment. That's the bedrock of our criminal justice system. And
nope.
I was cheating on my wife and you guys ratted me.
Well, I mean, that's like Virgin Galactic had its first flight this week.
Yeah.
Test flight of its actual space plane. Went to space, which is great. What we need, more space junk. So perfect. 2 weeks after the Chinese rocket returned to Earth and didn't kill anybody. And I imagine that if you bought a seat on the first Virgin Galactic flight, you thought to yourself, I'm going to walk out of LAX, out of the terminal, I'm gonna get on a flight, and I'm going to fly to Tokyo. It's going to be 45 minutes. It's going to be great. The first flight with passengers for Virgin Galactic is going to be out of Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay.
It's going to be a Virgin Galactic space plane that is strapped to a B-29, and then the B-29 takes off. 2 hours after that, it reaches the flight height, and then they launch the Virgin Galactic plane, which is then going to go to space and take you to Tokyo, which is not the glamorous future that I think those guys bought those $400,000 a piece seats for.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's just everything about society is fucking terrible. It's like overpromise, underdeliver. I'm going to make a big tunnel that you'll be able to take your car all around LA in, but it's going to have apartheid. So,
listen, I don't know if you've seen the footage of the Wright brothers.
Yeah,
but they flew.
They did.
They sure did, and perhaps it's no Southwest Airlines or.
It's going to strap you to the wing of a plane.
Something that you would feel more comfortable with, but you know what? It's fucking flight. And if you could say you were sitting on the
wing of
that plane,
yeah.
like hanging on,
yep,
the first man on a flight,
yep,
like it's worth something. I don't know if it's worth what you paid for
$400,000. Yeah, especially because it won't.
And you know
really
what? Also, every airline, regardless of how they start, and I know this is a little bit more than an airline, but probably classification-wise, they look at it as an airline.
I think if they're talking to the government, they wouldn't say they're an airline.
Like when Hooters launched, they only flew out of like Columbus or whatever.
Yeah.
Like for the first little bit, it was just like, flights from South Carolina to
Columbus to Jacksonville,
to like
back.
four different destinations around the United States, and It's because that's what they were allowed to do. And, eventually, if they didn't go bankrupt, they would they would eventually go on to fly elsewhere. But they didn't.
How is that a model that didn't work out? I don't know. That's a great business model.
I actually watched a YouTube documentary, a short documentary on why Hooters Air didn't work. And funny enough, I don't know if this is what you imagined it was, but running an airline is expensive. And that's something that usually succeed on if you're doing it for a larf. That's basically the story of Hooters. It's like, we were making so much money. I was just like, an airline be fun.
Let's do an airline.
Turns out that's not the mindset you should enter that financial decision with. Like,
so for those of you sitting at home thinking, I don't know how I'm going to pay both my rent and my health insurance this month, just remember, some guys started an airline on a lark
at one point
because they were making too much money. So, capitalism, it's amazing.
At one point, their restaurant with women with hearty bosoms was doing so well.
Yeah. Let's take this sexism to the air. But speaking of criminal organizations, something happened and nothing happened this week, but I feel like it might be a story in the future. So making everyone aware. It's a huge announcement that announced absolutely nothing, basically.
It's a huge problematic announcement that didn't really do anything specific.
Yes.
But if you are Donald Trump or any family members or high-ranking members of his organization, I would be a little bit unnerved by Letitia James, the Attorney General of the Southern District of New York, or the U.S. Attorney. I'm sorry,
U.S. Attorney for New York.
Said that the investigation into the Trump organization has turned into a criminal investigation, and that was all they were going to say. But that pretty much says a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
if you're wondering how important it is,
I wouldn't imagine that any lawyer or police or any kind of person in the know would say something unless they were ready to feel pretty confident about it. You wouldn't say, I'm preparing to charge Ted Kaczynski with murder unless you were pretty sure you knew that he was the one who did it. Like, you're not just wildly speculating. It's either going to be Ted Kaczynski or one of these other five guys we're thinking about.
You say, we're about to charge Ted Kaczynski with murder because you got his brother, and you're really leaning hard on him. And when you say the words accessory to murder, you want it to mean something. So we're going to tie your brother's name to the word murder. And now when I say accessory to murder to you, you start maybe coming out with the information a little bit freer.
Right.
So I say, it's going from a civil investigation to a criminal investigation, and somebody who's been in contact with you has been like, I'm never going to fucking say anything to you. I don't know why. Criminal investigation. All right, so like,
let me tell you where they hid the money.
Yeah, I was willing to take a fine for them because the money's in the banana stand. But I'm not going to go to jail for this.
The money in the banana stand is my favorite part because there's not much that we heard this week as far as like a tipping point into this is clearly criminal. Clearly the New York office had that determination. But one thing I did hear a lot this week was, boy, it's funny how the Central Park ice rink, snack bar, and skate rental place, which happened to be owned by Trump, make almost more money than any skate rental or snack stand in the history of mankind.
It's the most profitable business in his empire.
It's amazing how many millions of dollars come from this thing that only operates for 4 months a year. But,
all cash or mostly cash.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very strange. Almost as if it would be a laundromat, you might say. Place where you could do laundry.
A place where something comes in dirty and goes out clean, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not making any accusations. All I'm saying is that
the money's in the banana stand.
Is 100% likelihood that of the members of the Trump organization, family members or not, that someone did a search for countries without extradition treaty to U.S. at some point after that announcement.
Yeah.
Because it's like, listen, if we get a fine is personal, but it's never personal because most people have a contract with their company that says like, if you get fined for something you did in the course of your duties here, the company pays the fine.
Yeah.
So the company's going to get a $200 million fine. You each get $5 million individually. That's 4 fines times $5 million plus $200 million for the company. That's a $220 million fine for the company because the company's going to pay it.
Right.
Company don't go to jail for you. You go to jail. So it's all fun and games until they start talking about criminal investigations.
Right.
And we have to go to Belize, where there's no extradition treaty. And also, they speak English. And also, it is a beautiful country where you can live very cheap. So don't come look for me there if I ever fake my own death. Just saying. I do want to talk about Bitcoin just briefly. But before we do that, a gentle reminder to everyone. Or not a reminder, a celebration. Pandemic's over, everybody. Aren't you excited about this, Corey? Like, everything is over. Texas is open. Maryland's open. New York is open. LA is going to be open in like the next 10 days or so. People are going to bars and
3
restaurants.
weeks, yeah.
Bars and restaurants are fully open. We're pretending like we're not, but they fully are open. And they're going to put 4 tables out on the curb and then open everybody inside. So you have some people sitting outside, but really you can go inside and eat if you want.
Yeah.
Masks. Who cares about masks anymore? Because we are fully 100% vaccinated across the country. So, you know, this deadly pandemic, 500,000 people dead. Likely more than that, really, probably double that. 1 million people dead. It's all over. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that to the halfish part of the population, which is vaccinated or...
Oh, yes, that was a joke. We are at 48% of people have 1 shot.
Right. I'm saying
who
are vaccinated or on the way to being fully vaccinated.
Yes.
I would say that we've made it. It was tough. We got to the vaccine. You should feel way more confident in your ability to survive any potential COVID infection. So that is good news for you.
Sure. Yes. Until those variants pop up. Because of the other 53% of people.
Right. For the people who are... there's nothing I can say to the people who will just not under any circumstances get vaccinated because they convince themselves that they don't need to or they shouldn't or whatever.
I got a camp for that.
To the people who are in the middle, who are like, I would like to get the vaccine, but I'm not sure about whether or not it's safe or any of those types of things.
There was a conversation I saw on Facebook. Some idiot was like, I don't even know where to get it. I'm like, bitch, shut the fuck up. All right. I'll accept many arguments.
Open up your Google, type in COVID vaccine, and it will fucking tell you.
There are many arguments I will accept. None of them are valid, but like, I want to wait and see if people get sick. I want to see what the consequence. Great. Okay. It's stupid, but I understand that. Don't tell me you don't know where to go get it. Okay. Fuck you. But yes.
I mean, like, they're having like fucking lottery drawings every day for people who get the COVID vaccine in like Ohio and shit like that. So like, I find it hard to believe that like they're keeping it a secret somewhere.
The best factoid I've seen thus far is that there is a town in Kansas that has a population of 4. It is the most remote, underpopulated, not most remote, but most remote, underpopulated place in the continental United States.
Mm-hmm.
They are 20 minutes from a vaccine site and 55 minutes from all 3 vaccines. Do not tell me you don't know how to go get the vaccine, all right? Like, in this town, CNN, one of their producers is from there, and he had his mom or dad or whoever go out and take a picture. In the downtown, somebody put up a sign that was like, Moderna, 22 miles with an arrow pointed that way, and it's like Pfizer, 15 miles, arrow that way. Like, the information is there. You don't even have to go to Google. You were on your way to Walmart and you saw a sign. So don't tell me.
It'd just be like imagine you're just like, I mean, I would write a book report on Steve Jobs, but I have no idea how old he was or what year he was born.
Yeah.
I guess we're just not doing it. It's just like, motherfucker, there's plenty of places where you can get this information. First of all, Google is readily available. If for whatever reason you go on there and Google does not have the answer, weird.
Yeah. Much like Steve Jobs, go to your local library because I bet you the person there knows where they can get you a vaccine. Yeah. So
Just go to the library. I'm sure there's a Steve Jobs book somewhere in the first couple pages. Is he was born in 1940, whatever, and then
Fantastic.
you just move on with your life.
Yeah, it's not a valid argument to say we're going to wait and see. The people who got the vaccine earliest, like the trial people, are 8 months in at this point. So
even further at this, right? I mean, like
they did their first trials in September, right?
Yeah, I think so. So 10-ish?
3 and 5 is 8, right?
Okay.
September is the 9th month of the year. 3 to the end of the
Yeah.
year. 5 in the beginning of the year. That's 8.
Okay, yeah.
Don't question my math. Although it might have been earlier than that.
Yeah.
The U.S. trials versus European trials or whatever. I don't know. But nonetheless, let's just say it's like 8 to 10 months.
Well, not only that, but like all the healthcare people who got the vaccine right away and,
fully if you're going to get a reaction, it's not going to be like at 13 months and 1 day, all of a sudden you're like, It's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. Or, I mean, to be honest and frank, it's going to be 15 years from now, and we're going to see, like, did you get the Moderna vaccine back in 2000?
You might be entitled to compensation.
And fine. Again, though, the fact that you're going to be alive in 2045 to see this commercial come on late night TV is in part and parcel because you got the vaccine in 2020.
Yeah.
The likelihood of you living long enough to see it. Now, all of the 30% of people who said under no circumstances am I going to get it for whatever reason are trying really hard to make sure that, one, we don't see that commercial.
All I'm saying is I know personally some good-minded people who are in the middle of the, like, I don't know how safe it is or, like.
It's safe.
It was really hard to get an appointment, so I haven't been looking recently. Like, these no, but I'm saying, like, all these things that are being said, fine. Like, you do want to get it at some point. So, now it's just about negotiating when it happened, and hopefully sooner. I would prefer sooner, but, maybe next week is the week that you decide to do. But I'm saying, like, there's a lot of well-minded people there who I think don't deserve to die of COVID, because, like the videos you see of people, like, holding up a picture. It's like, my mother got COVID and she's dying right inside those hospital walls. And it's just like, well, are you going to get the vaccine? I'm not quite sure it's safe. Like, your mother's dying. What else do you need? Like,
the guy at the 7-Eleven eating nachos and drinking Pepsi. Like, I don't know what's in it. So, all right, motherfucker. Okay.
What is high fructose corn syrup? Explain it to me.
I mean, I can. Do you want me to?
No, I was talking to the guy.
Oh, okay. I know what high fructose corn syrup is.
I don't know if you know. I'm walking around with this all day.
All day, every day, walking around with this in my head.
We are running out of time, but let's just touch super briefly.
Corey
on
wanted to do this last because much like many things, I
didn't know how
disagree.
How after dark this OTA would go.
Yes.
So.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I thought the funniest thing that I thought I was going to see in the crypto exchange market topics was going to be a bunch of people buying Dogecoin and then it tanking, buying it on Friday and it tanking immediately after Elon Musk went off on Doge on SNL. That is now the second funniest thing that I've seen, because the funniest thing I saw were people on Tuesday of this week walking around my office talking about, like, buy the dip. Bitcoin is definitely going to come back. Buy the dip. And then losing 40% of their investment over the course of the next 3 days and losing their fucking minds along with it.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious. So, yeah. Don't buy the dip. Don't buy it at all. Stay out of the crypto market. It's not crypto. It's not cryptocurrency. It's a crypto commodity. It will never be a cryptocurrency so long as we treat it like a commodity.
Rob and I have disagreements on this, but basically, for a lot of people hear the headline, some sort of version of this that I heard. Bitcoin falls 35% of value in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And to people who think of it like a commodity, like a stock, like gold or something like that, if you heard that it dropped 35%, you would assume something really awful happened. If Coke's stock value dropped 35% in 2 weeks, you'd say something terrible has happened. The CEO.
Is there a new Coke out? What the hell happened?
The CEO has done something truly horrific.
By the way, remind me, I have to show you a podcast about how New Coke was the greatest marketing victory in the history.
I've heard this theory before too. It's interesting, but also at the same time, not the type of thing that you would want to be the marketing. This is the guy who's trying to save his ass because he was the New Coke guy.
Yeah, 100%.
He's like, well, actually, if you look at it in terms of, because I mean, like it's the same sort of logic, like the value of a football franchise grows because you're the Packers, right? And your franchise was always really valuable, but because you had Aaron Rodgers at this time where the value of franchises exploded,
also
you could make the argument that, Aaron Rodgers is probably worth $1 billion to the value of your franchise. But over the course of his career, you didn't pay him $1 billion. But then at the same time, if they did, people would freak the fuck out about Aaron Rodgers making $1 billion.
And it would it would have contracted the value of the franchise.
Even though you could probably point to him being worth that much value to the, like it would always, it's a circular thing.
Yeah.
Crypto is not a stock. It is not a common commodity either.
No.
It is, for many, a speculative insurance buy on the idea that the traditional economies of the world are not long for this universe. And that something will replace traditional money at some point.
And as we know, in all of those very famous dystopian movies and books and TV shows, the access to our crypto wallets will be maintained throughout the downfall of all of the other economies of the world. So,
I'm not saying that if the dollar goes down tomorrow, it'll be easy to exchange your Bitcoin for things. But it's not a... If you're buying weed with your Bitcoin, I'm probably saying you're doing it wrong.
No, you're doing it right. If you want a cryptocurrency,
if you want it to be a currency,
yes,
you're doing it right. But I'm saying, like, as far as making money on this,
but your argument is you want it to be a currency.
Yeah.
So if you want it to be a currency, people should stop sitting on it and stop speculating it and start using it as a currency and going to places and being like, oh, Jack in the Box, I would buy your burger, except for I can't pay for it in crypto, so I'm not going to buy your burger, and walking out.
Right, but I'm saying, the idea, the thing that does make it like a stock in a way is that
it is a stock.
Is that that in your mind you have a value at which point it is not worth holding on to anymore, because it will never get higher than this, and that is the time to unload your equity in it. And
at that point, you're going to start trading it for individual purchases and treating it like a commodity.
I mean, listen,
like
if you bought, Bitcoin at $10 and it goes to $500,000 and you sell out and you get cash for it, then that's because cash is still what is being used as the currency of the day, and you've made a lot of it on your investment. But a lot of people aren't necessarily. There's a lot of people who are buying it thinking that they're buying it like a stock, and they're up and down with the highs and the lows of it. It spikes, and they're just like, it's the next thing, and then it craters, and people are like, buy the dip, and it's all out there. But I'm saying, like, really what it is it's sort of like speculative because it's not currency now. It's not spendable. Like, you don't spend it now because you don't want to be the person who spends some amount of Bitcoin on something that will end up being 10 times the cost 10 years from now. There's a potential that the dollar will fail at some point, and there needs to be another option out there. And we will at some point need some form of cryptocurrency in the long scale. Yes.
No, we will not. If the dollar fails, you are going to have no way to access your crypto wallet. How are you going to get to your Bitcoin?
What do you mean? How are you going to get?
How are you going to get to your Bitcoin?
What do you mean?
How do you access your Bitcoin wallet right now?
I mean, a lot of people have it online.
Okay.
So.
So Howard, how do you access how do you, Corey Baker, access your Bitcoin wallet right now, or your crypto wallet?
I mean, it's all speculative.
No, remember, how do you check the balance on your wallet?
The internet.
Okay. How do you access the internet?
Through the computer?
Let's be more specific than that. You have your phone, right?
A browser?
You have your phone, right?
Do you need my IP number too? Or
I would really love it. Say it right here. So
the credentials.
Let's say that you check it on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Your phone connects directly to the internet?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Well, okay.
It goes through Verizon.
Yeah.
Verizon, a company that if the dollar becomes worthless, will not exist anymore. So you won't have access to the internet through your phone because it won't provide service anymore. So now you have your computer, right? Your computer connects directly to the internet?
Yes.
Oh, no. It doesn't, though. It goes through Spectrum, another company that will cease to exist and provide service once the internet or once the dollar is worthless.
Yeah.
So there is no way to exchange it if the dollar has no value. What we want is an alternative to the dollar that avoids all of the things we like about cash, but we don't like about electronic cash. If I want to buy something from you, I want to be able to give you $1 and you give me the thing and I walk away. Or maybe I give you like $80 and you give me the thing and I walk away and nobody has to know what we've exchanged for it. You can use the dollars, I can use the things, that's it. We want that, but not without the tracking that is required by us using dollars on the internet. That's a cryptocurrency.
Do you remember when gas spiked like our senior year or so of high school, like when that first time
up
it
to
like
like
spiked
$1.75 or whatever?
like,
Yeah.
And then a couple years later it went up to like 3 for a little while, and when that was like unprecedented in Maryland.
Yes.
I seem to remember a lot of people saying, boy, I wish I had like oil somewhere or gas somewhere that I could have just stored and purchased at, 90 cents a gallon.
Right.
And just had for this moment right now where the gas prices are out of control.
Right.
This is what we're talking, like,
No, that's
you
not
buy,
what we're talking about.
you buy, you try and buy something before it becomes a big thing, and then you hold it until the moment where it becomes the thing. Like,
no,
there is a,
you're not describing a currency. You're describing a commodity. Oil is a commodity. Gold is a commodity.
Right.
None of that is used for the exchange of goods and services now. If the dollar fails,
an economic argument could be made that everything is a commodity, even dollars.
No, because dollars intrinsically have no value except for what we establish the value for. Gold has an actual value because of its rarity. A dollar is ink on paper and cotton, a cotton and paper blend. So it has its inherent value is essentially nothing. Gold has an inherent value, and
it has a value because it's believed in.
Right. So that makes it a commodity.
Knowing that this $5 bill that I have in my pocket is capable of buying me, a gordita.
Right.
Because a gordita costs $5 and I can exchange that for.
And if the U.S. economy fails, if the U.S. government fails, and then you work and you're paid at your morning break, your lunch break, and your afternoon break, because the value of the dollar that you're being paid in changes so drastically during the day, then you have no faith in that dollar. You take a whole wheelbarrow full of money to the store to take home a pocketbook full of bread.
Yeah.
That is not a currency. That's not, we can't have that much instability in a currency market. And that's what we have in the Bitcoin market right now. All cryptocurrencies have that kind of instability.
Right, because there are a lot of people who are saying that it will one day become the currency. It will one day become the...
That's not how these things work. And that's the problem, is that, like, you said this earlier, I think. You hear 3 people and now you're an expert.
Yeah.
And now you become an expert, one of 3 experts that somebody else listens to.
Right.
And then they become one of 3 experts that somebody else listens to. And it's a game of telephone where nobody fucking understands how the system works. So they all think that they know what they're doing, and nobody knows what they're doing. And in the end, these crypto markets are ruining the planet, and it's likely that we are going to push ourselves into a global catastrophe trying to break up blockchain or process blockchain because we're using so much energy to do it. And you want to have kids. I don't even want to fucking have kids. I am willing to let this bloodline die with me because I don't want to have the curse of putting children on this planet. And you, on one hand, want to put children on the planet. On the other hand, support the thing that is destroying the planet you're putting them on.
So, number one, that could be said about a lot of things.
Like what?
What?
Like what?
Like just oil production in general.
I don't buy a car. My carbon footprint is 0. It's actually negative almost.
Right,
days.
but I'm not allowed to own stock in Exxon.
No, I mean, perfect example. I was proud of myself this week because somebody on a call said the goal should not be to buy a house for you. The goal should be to buy a house and rent it to somebody for more than your rent. So then your rent gets paid for. And what I thought was, yeah, but that would make me a fucking landlord. Why the fuck would I want to be a landlord? And then they said, that's why I own 3 houses, and those 3 pay for my mortgage, which made me say, you're a fucking bourgeois landlord? Or I thought it. I didn't say it. I thought it. And I'm like, that's why I didn't like you. That's why I don't like you. But I didn't say it, and I was super proud of myself because I felt like that was an advancement. Usually I would have just said that shit and then be like, oh, fuck, oh, you're a landlord? I mean, I stand by it. You're a terrible fucking person because landlords are the worst. But I didn't say it.
I mean, sure, to an extent, there are landlords who are the worst, but I mean, like,
they're all the worst. You're making money. You're sitting at home. You're a leech on society. You provide nothing, and you
provide the capital for which people live in the place that you.
Oh, do you though? Do you?
Yeah.
No, somebody at some point provided you the capital for that. It's all bullshit.
I mean, you either provided capital yourself, or you provided the people who provided the capital to you with the trust that you would be able to handle such a project and return that capital. I mean, like that, so that that idea is just preposterous on its face because not everyone can or wants to buy a house. So
right. I don't want
certain people will be renting forever.
Sure.
Or for as long as they have to, or whatever the case may be.
And there
10
needs
times
to be
as
many empty houses as there are homeless people.
Yes, owned by people. Like,
so
that's
the original question was that you could own stock in ExxonMobil. You're right. I don't. Why? Because I don't want to be part of the fucking system that is causing the problem.
I get it, but I'm saying, like, whether or not I personally have stock in Exxon, which I don't know if I do. I don't think I do. Whether or not I personally have it doesn't mean that that decision is it's a stamp of approval that they can make my investment better, but it's not necessarily a stamp of approval of their business acumen.
It is, though.
In a way, and I think that they're going to be successful enough to continue to make money for me.
You're supporting their stock price.
Yeah.
And by supporting their stock price, you're
supporting capital in there. Yeah.
Yes. So you
but
vote
with the
with
intent,
your pocketbook.
But with the intent that the money comes back to you.
No.
If you're going to be investing based purely off of how you feel about all the companies that you invest in, you will not have a very rich or deep stock portfolio.
No, I do not have either of those things.
Right,
but I have a clean conscience, and I can live with that.
Yeah.
I'm a man of my word. The first law of the Book of Omar: man's got to have a fucking code.
Yeah.
And I got a code, and I live by my code, and that's it. I don't support shit that I don't support. I mean, listen, could I have? I am smart enough to have made far more money in my life than I would have
literally
made.
Everything at some point goes to something you can't support.
Like what?
I mean, like, I don't know the specific journey of the black.
I buy Degree deodorant because that is the one that happens to work for me and allegedly leaves less white streaks on fucking black shirts, which I wear a lot of.
Right.
I buy black T-shirts from JCPenney. Now, arguably, haven't sourced the T-shirts. I have no idea. They could be made in a factory in fucking Vietnam, for all I know.
Yeah.
I have not done all the research, but I'm also not going to let that obsession take over my life. However, I do know the U.S. military.
If you found out, you would change.
Oh, 100%. If I found out, if I became aware, and I'm going to try to not I see a story about JCPenney T-shirts. Let's not read that because I don't want to read something that's fucking going to change my mind. I don't do that either. But if I became aware, I would stop buying the T-shirts. I became aware of how wasteful plastic bags are. So what did I do? I paid $25 for a set of 6 reusable bags. Now, these are also a petrochemical. Absolutely. Harmful to the environment? Arguably so. I have used nothing but these bags for the last 6 months, which means they have more than paid off their debt in petrochemical damage to the environment by me not using a one-time use plastic bag.
Yeah.
So man's got to have a code, and he didn't live by it. I could have made more money. I had chosen not to. But you could invest in ExxonMobil, but they're fucking destroying the environment. You can invest in Nike, but they're fucking having slave workers in Vietnam. I can't wear Nikes because they have slave labor in another country. If I found out the t-shirt company was doing it, I would do that too. Degree is part of Unilever, one of the many companies of Unilever. And Unilever makes some products like they own the company that made Zyklon B. Yeah. So do I not use deodorant? Well, the problem is there are four companies that make every brand of deodorant, unless you're going to buy some like really organic homemade stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't been exposed to any of that stuff.
Even Tom's Originals is owned by like Unilever or something at this point too.
Yes. So like you think you're buying, it's like, oh, this is all organic coffee. Yes, this is organic. This is a low, what's it called? The
locally sourced or
no, they pay the growers like a living wage rather than
like
whatever.
equitable.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the company that owns that coffee brand is still Maxwell House, which is still Kraft, which is still whatever.
Yeah.
PepsiCo. You're still paying the same companies. You can only limit it as much as you can limit it. But that is because we were forced to participate in this globalized, owned by very few people economy. I don't like that. So what do? I come on here every week and I preach something different. Would I buy a different product if I could? I absolutely would. Would I make my own t-shirts if I could? I absolutely would. Can I? I do know how to sew and I do know how to make t-shirts. But at some point, something's got to give. I'm going to work 85 hours a week and then I'm going to go home to my own sweatshop, which is what my apartment would turn into, where I make my t-shirts because they're going to fall apart real easy. And nothing worse than being on the scooter and having that shirt just like whip off into the wind.
Fucking Fabio style.
So we do what you can do. But a man's got a code. We're built differently. You want to own ExxonMobil.
No. And I understand where you're coming from. And I understand the awful things that cryptocurrency is doing to the environment, mostly because people are trying to get rich quick off of mining it, which is turning into a humongous thing.
Yeah.
But again, the point I made to you before, which is, the guy who created Dogecoin said he did it in a couple hours. He literally did not think there would be any negative consequences.
He did it as a joke. And I don't blame him. I blame the idiots who are out there causing the damage now.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like the idiots who are causing the damage now are either doing it because the local regulations wherever they live allow them to do that, or B, are choosing to do it in inefficient manners in the hope that they make money from it one day, which is there's unintended consequences of literally everything. And I'm not saying that should give a pass to cryptocurrency and how the energy usage is going right now. I think that something will come along at some point that will try and regulate this as best as humanly possible, but it's also a largely unregulated kind of world that it exists in. So I mean, like it's tough to, even if you come in with the best of intentions of we're going to fix the things that are wrong with crypto with bureaucracy, you're going to find yourself in the same place where I'm sure there were people who said, oh, this war on drugs sounds like a really great idea. Let's get everyone off the drugs. And then you realize that all the things that you did in the war on drugs to try and decrease drugs actually increase drugs.
Right. Well,
made it a bigger thing as opposed to a smaller thing.
All of these solutions come down to two things. One, making money is king. So capitalism is inherently corrupt. And two, legislating morality doesn't work. You want Bitcoin? Great. So let's create an economy where it's not based on the gathering of wealth in the hands of a few people. Jeff Bezos has the same amount of money that if I gave you $5,000 a day for 360 years, you would not have the amount of money that he has. You would have $1 billion, and he has 300 of those. That's more money than a human being can spend in a lifetime. So instead of having that system, have one where we focus on other things other than the gathering of wealth. That fixes the whole destruction of the planet to try and make a dollar.
I mean, if you're talking about people who are stashing currency, the top 1% of people have money that it just sits there because it makes them more money.
It's a symptom of capitalism.
Right,
so
but I'm
let's
saying
stop that.
I'm saying somebody has money they're never going to spend because they're 80 years old and they have $9.7 million.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do to spend $9.7 million in the next couple years that they're living.
Yeah.
So they'll spend what they need to, and they'll pass the rest off to a kid or something like that.
And I think that is
that kid will be a shitty person.
An equitable system. So destroy the whole thing.
Well, I'm saying if you do that, then the Bitcoin certainly becomes a currency.
Yeah,
but
arguably yes, but the other side of that is the legislating morality. The war on drugs example. Why do we need a war on drugs at all? Let people do whatever the fuck they want to do, and that's where they intersect. Because then communist system where Bitcoin still arises, but it does it responsibly because we just need an exchange of goods over the internet that's not trackable. Fantastic. Nobody's looking at it anyway. No war on drugs. You can buy cocaine with a Bitcoin that doesn't destroy, with a cryptocurrency that doesn't destroy the environment and have it delivered to your door. Isn't that amazing?
Well, you know what dip you should buy?
Oh, my God. I know that this place has a dip in it. That's for fucking sure.
OTheAnthem.com, Corey, OTheAnthem.com, with Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's the number again?
443-219-7595. Find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, at LegendsB5 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Video is done. Just has to be
Came
uploaded.
up. It got put up, right? It got put up last
Not
week.
yet.
It was promised.
Just has to go up, but it will be up. So check that out. And we still have a couple days left of Mental Health Awareness Month. So I will be making a video in that in that vein before the end of Mental Health Awareness Month.
So we can expect that for Mental Health Awareness Month 2022. Got it. Absolutely.
Sit in the chamber until then.
Oh, is that it? That's all. That's what I got. Okay, all right, well, sure, yeah. Wait, I wasn't ready for a transition. I thought there was more. You can find me all your social networks at Robert and Cheek. I post a lot of stuff that is just similar to what you have here. I posted on my Instagram story the Kristen Wiig crying meme saying me sitting outside of the job I hate just because society refuses to collapse. So that's what you can expect. That and more fun stuff over on Instagram at Robert and Cheek. Check out my website, robertandcheek.com, where you can find links to all the stuff that I'm working on. There's nothing. I'm not working on anything. I'm just subsisting in life. So, but yeah, all that stuff's over there.
Fire Rose Books.
Oh.
At least there's that.
Yeah. No, we had like a little lag there on the on OBS, but anyway, that's okay. It lagged out your yawn, so nobody saw that.
Oh, thank God. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network, for Corey and producer Brooks and producer Roberto and his beautiful girlfriend Katya, who is available for your booking. If you saw her on the show and you want to book, make sure you book her. And Rachel, who is most certainly asleep by now. This is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Buy the dip.
Don't buy the dip. Sell it all. Crash the market.